who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to the church. Amen. Amen.
Item number 3, proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament.
Whereas in Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Uganda mandates His Excellency the President at the beginning of each session of Parliament to deliver to Parliament an address of the State of Nation. Aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has, in accordance with the Article 101, Sub-Article 1, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament on the State of Nation on 5th January 2025. Now, therefore, in accordance with Rule 18.1 of the Rules of Procedure, hereby proclaim that 1. Parliament shall sit at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on 5th June 2025 at 14 hours. To receive the address of His Excellency the President of Republic of Uganda on the State of Nation, and the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above mentioned purpose, given under my hand at Parliament House, Kampala on 5th day of June 2025.
Item number 4, communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Museveni, accompanied by the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, Her Excellency, the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo Epel, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, His Lordship, Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, Dr. Flavian Zeja, who is also here to represent the Chief Justice, the Honorable Visiting Speakers and Presiding Officers of Parliaments of Africa and their representatives. We have the Right Honorable Alban Kingford Sumana Bangbin, the Speaker of Parliament of Ghana and the Chairperson of the Conference of Speakers of African Union Legislatures, COSPAL. Right Honorable, just raise up and wave to us. The Right Honorable Vital Kamerhe, the President of the National Assembly of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Join me in welcoming our guests, the Right Honorable Lucas Sinibo Moha, the Chairperson of the National Council of Parliament of Namibia. You're most welcome. The Right Honorable Joseph Intakrotinimana, the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Jaffa Amson Kingi, the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Pamena, the Deputy Speaker of the Transitional National Legislature of South Sudan. You're welcome. The Right Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in Uganda, the Right Honorable Nabanja. The Right Honorable Matthew Nyuma, the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business of the National Assembly of Sierra Leone and a member of the Bureau of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, the European Union, that is OACP, yes, EU, all the Deputy Prime Ministers of Uganda, the Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement, that is Alhaji Moses Chigongo, all the members of the Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement, the Honorable Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Senyonyi Joel, Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Your Excellencies, the heads of diplomatic mission, High Commissioners, Ambassadors and members of Diplomatic Corps, Honorable members of Parliament of Uganda and members of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honorable Clifford Ande, Member of Parliament of Shiselish and member of the Bureau of OAC CPS EU, the guest members from other legislatures, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, Honorable Richard Todong, the distinguished former leaders, notably Right Honorable Amama Mbabasi, I've seen, and others, the traditional, cultural, and religious leaders that are present here, the permanent secretaries, the heads of public agencies, corporations, and parastatals, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this inaugural sitting of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda. Today marks the beginning of the final year of the 11th Parliament. I will state without any fear of contradiction that this Parliament has been the epitome of the people-centered legislature. I want to commend His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for his unwavering support to the legislature, and I also want to commend all of you members for living up to your role and responsibility. Thank you so much. In a special way, I take this opportunity to appreciate all the speakers and presiding officers of sister parliaments and legislatures in Africa that have honored our invitation. Thank you so much for your solidarity and for loving Uganda. You are most welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Honorable members, it's a command of the 1995 Constitution of Republic of Uganda under Article 101, Sub-Article 1, that the President shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament, deliver to Parliament an address to the State of Nation. Therefore, today the House and indeed the nation will receive the presidential address on the state of nation. Unless circumstances dictate, this will be the final State of Nation address that the 11th Parliament will receive from His Excellency the President, especially that, considering that by this time next year, the 12th Parliament will be in session. Basing on that, it is a historic opportunity for all patriots and the people of goodwill to reflect on our collective achievements as a nation and take stock of the prevailing challenges and opportunities for a sustained growth of our beloved nation, Uganda. Your Excellency and honorable members, during the previous session, Parliament's performance was generally outstanding and was characterized by a greater responsiveness, efficiency, and effectiveness. To this end, Parliament of Uganda held 75 sittings, during which 2 oaths were administered to new members of Parliament. That is Honorable Akifensa Grace Ngabirano and Honorable Luimbasi Elias Nalukola. 35 bills were passed, 3 petitions were concluded, 45 resolutions were passed, and 53 reports were adopted. I take this opportunity to commend the members of Parliament and all the entities that took time and contributed to the passing of the following laws: the Appropriation Bill 2024, the Higher Education Students Financing Amendment Bill 2024, the National Commission for UNESCO Amendment Bill 2024, the National Information Technology Authority Uganda Amendment Bill 2024, the Cotton Development Bill, Amendment Bill 2024, the Dairy Industry Amendment Bill 2024, the National Agricultural Advisory Services Amendment Bill 2024, the National Forestry and Tree Planting Amendment Bill 2024, the National Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2024, the National Coffee Amendment Bill 2024, the Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024, the Uganda Road Fund Amendment Bill 2024, the Public Enterprise Reform and Divestiture Amendment Bill 2024, the Tier 4 Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024, the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Repeal Bill 2024, the Technical and Vocational Education Technical Bill, Training Bill 2024, the National Sports Amendment Bill 2024, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023, the Employment Amendment Bill 2023, the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025, the Public Service Pension Fund 2024, the East African Community Mediation Agreement Bill 2024, the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025, the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill number 2, 2025, the Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill 2025, the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2, 2025, the External Trade Amendment Bill 2025, the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Heights and Schemes Export Duty Amendment Bill 2025, the Supplemental Appropriation Bill 2025, the Appropriation Bill 2025, the Political Parties and Organizations Amendment Bill 2025, the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025. Your Excellency, Parliament of Uganda recognizes the importance of greater efficiency and effectiveness of public service as a cornerstone of service delivery and an instrument of the realization of our national development aspirations. To this end, among the bills passed during the fourth session are those that seek to reform the pension management in both the public service and military, and those that seek to enhance the growth and development of the private sector. Fellow Ugandans, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on 9th January 2025, Parliament approved the Fourth National Development Plan, NDP4, for the years 2025, 2026, 2029, 2030. This plan is our national blueprint for transformation and sustainable development of our country. The budget speech that we shall receive on 12th June 2025 is aligned to this national development plan. I take the cognizance of the contribution of all stakeholders in the formulation and realization of this plan. Your Excellency, after my communication, and if it does please you, Your Excellency, I will request that before you commence on your address to Parliament and by extension to the nation, you symbolically unveil the NDP4, a document that will be a precursor to the budget speech, which will be held on 12th June 2025. Your Excellency, in line with our vision of being a people-centered parliament, during the fourth session, the Parliament of Uganda held its first ever regional sitting at Kaunda Grounds in Gulu City. That is northern Uganda, from 28th to 30th August 2024. During this sitting, issues specific to the region were deliberated upon, and a series of community outreach and civic engagement were conducted. Your Excellency, we take this opportunity to thank you for gracing the opening of that historic sitting which took place in Gulu City. The legislature will continue to place the common person at the center of all its parliamentary processes and decisions. We are optimistic that in the near future, Parliament will hold another regional sitting that will cover other regions of the country. In a bid to foster Pan-Africanism and international collaboration with other legislatures and interparliamentary bodies, we continued to further interparliamentary diplomacy through active participation and membership in various interparliamentary bodies, such as the East African Community Bureau of Speakers, the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the African Union Legislatures, that's COSPAL, the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, the Pan-African Parliament, PAP, the European Union Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, EU-ACP Group, and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Station, CPA, to mention but a few. Your Excellency, the impressive representation of our sister legislatures at this State of Nation address is a testimony of our good standing among the international community of nations. I take this opportunity to once again welcome our guest speakers and presiding officers and thank them for traveling from far and wide to witness this historic occasion. You're most welcome. Join me in welcoming our guests. Your Excellency and honorable members, I take this opportunity to thank you for your role in enabling the remarkable output registered by legislature during the fourth session. I will reiterate my appreciation for the consistent support of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yoweri Museveni. Your Excellency, the 11th Parliament draws inspiration of your effective and impactful leadership as a key enabler and a societal transformation. We undertake that the fifth session that you'll open today will remain steadfast in effectively executing its mandate in furtherance to the National Vision 2040 that aims in transforming Uganda in a modern and a prosperous nation within the 30 years. Your Excellency and honorable members, as you may be aware, that Article 83, Sub-Article A of the 1995 Constitution permits members of Parliament to leave and join political parties or political organizations of their choice within 12 months before the end of term of Parliament, to participate in activities or programs of political parties or political organizations relating to the general election. To this end, I am in receipt of notification by the following members opting to join respective political parties. Honorable Twaha Kagabo, MP Bukoto South, from the National Unity Platform to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Akol Anthony, MP Clark North, from the Forum for Democratic Change to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Jarama Pendusi Martin, from Baradegi Laibi, from the Independent Opposition Leaning to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Ongetho Emmanuel, from Jonam County from Forum for Democratic Change to the National Resistance Movement. Honorable Mpuga Matthias Nyendo Mukungwe, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Dr. Abedi Bwanika, MP Kimanya Kabonera, from National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Kakembo Michael, MP Entebbe Municipality, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. Honorable Kakandi Juliet Nakabuye, City Woman MP Masaka, from the National Unity Platform to the Democratic Front. We wish the members well in the exercise of their freedom of association as prescribed in Article 29 of the Constitution of Uganda, which we swore to uphold. Your Excellency and honorable members, despite the remarkable strides that we have made. The fourth session was not without any challenges. We regrettably lost 2 sitting members of parliament in the person of Honorable Sarah Mateke, woman member of parliament of Kisoro, and Honorable Mohammed Segrinya, MP Kawempe North. We continue to pray for internal repose of their souls. Pursuant to Article 94(4)A of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, and Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda, legislature will continue to prioritize government business. We look forward with optimism to government legislative agenda for the fifth session and other plans that may be contained in today's presidential address of nation. I say all this for God and my country. Your Excellency, as I had earlier on stated in my communication, I will now take this singular honor and privilege to invite you to unveil the National Development Plan 4. Your Excellency, you'll be joined by my good self and the Deputy Speaker, the Ministers of Finance, to perform this activity.
Item number 5, invitation by the Right Honourable Speaker to His Excellency the President to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation in accordance with Article 1011 of the Constitution.
Your Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, it is your mandate under Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution at the beginning of each session of Parliament to deliver to Parliament your address on the state of nation. Honorable members, as we welcome the President to deliver his address on the state of nation, we draw your attention to Rule 10 of the Rules of Procedure, which provide in Sub-Rule 4A that the President, while occupying the chair of a state, may make a presidential statement which shall be heard in silence and not followed by any comment or question. I now take the singular honor and privilege to invite you, Your Excellency, to address the August House and the nation by extension. You are most welcome, Mr. President.
Her Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice, the Right Honourable Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament, Honourable Members of the Diplomatic Corps, cultural and religious leaders, the wananchi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In fulfillment of the constitutional requirement under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I am here to deliver the State of the Nation Address 2025. Fellow countrymen, countrywomen, and especially the Bazukulu, abantu abo, I applaud you all for positively utilizing the peace and tranquility prevailing across the country and the improved physical infrastructure to improve your personal lives, your families, and your communities. Since the last State of the Nation address, a number of people have unfortunately departed from this earth. They include His Holiness the Pope, late Pope Francis, the late Honorable Major John Kazora, former Member of Parliament of Kashari, the late Honorable Sara Mateke Nyirabashitsi, the former Minister of State for Defense, the late Honorable Muhammad Segirinya, the former Member of Parliament for Kawempe North, the late Honorable Dr. Yako Chisa, the former Member of Parliament for Queen County, the late Honorable Babadiri Margaret, the former woman Member of Parliament for Koboko District, the late Honorable Margaret Komhanji, the former woman Member of Parliament for Nakasongora District, the late Honorable Cicely Ignatius, the former Member of Parliament for Buyaga County East, the Right Honorable Frank Nabuiso, the former Member of Parliament for Kagoma County, and many other Ugandans who have succumbed to accidents, illnesses, etc. I request that we rise up and observe a moment of silence in the memory of those that have passed on. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Sit down. In the Gospel, according to St. Matthew, chapter 7, verses 24 to 27, Jesus talked about two kinds of builders. The wise builder, who built his house on the rock, and the foolish builder, who built his house on sand. When the rain, floods, and wind came upon both houses, that of the foolish man was swept away, because its foundation was weak, while the one of the wise man remained standing, because its foundation was firm and strong. The national resistance movement can be likened to the wise man in Jesus' parable, because we have been able to establish the necessary foundation to catapult Uganda to modernity based on the four principles ideology. The principles are patriotism, love Uganda; Pan-Africanism, love Africa; socio-economic transformation, and democracy. The aim of this ideology is to promote the mass line, i.e., guaranteeing the social uplift of all segments of the society, and not just the few elites. The mass line programs such as UPE and UPE's Universal Primary Education and Universal Secondary Education, the mass immunization campaigns, the wealth creation funds, e.g. Operation Wealth Creation, PDM, Operation Wealth Creation of the Army, where the Army was involved, OWC, Emioga, Parish Development Model, PDM, etc., have led to significant improvements in the quality of life in Uganda. Life expectancy in Uganda is now 63 years compared to 45 years in 1986. This means that Ugandans are now living longer. In 1986, Uganda's population was only 14 million. The national population housing census conducted last year showed that Uganda's population is now 46 million people. The literacy rate has also improved from 43% in 1986 to 80% now. In 1986, more than 90% of the population was trapped in subsistence farming. i.e., working only for food with no surplus to take to the market to get money. There has been a significant reduction in the percentage of households in subsistence agriculture. They are now 33%. And you hear that at the beginning they were 90%. These few illustrations show that implementing the mass line programs is the most effective way of triggering socio-economic transformation. Therefore, in line with the mass line philosophy of the NRM, we must prioritize the following. Number one, peace and security of persons and their property in all parts of the country. Number two, accelerating industrialization with focus on building factories which use locally available materials as inputs. Number three, export promotion and import substitution by boosting the domestic manufacturing capacity. Number four, strengthening the private sector. Number five, increasing market access for our exports, both in the regional markets such as East African Community, COMESA, among others, and international markets. Number six, skilling our youth through the zonal industrial hubs. The youth will continue to acquire skills in tailoring, carpentry, metal fabrication, welding, shoemaking, weaving, hairdressing, knitting, and bakery. We shall add also plumbing and motor mechanics. The training is free of charge and no prior education qualifications are required, as you all know. Number seven, increasing revenue collection by Uganda Revenue Authority without hurting businesses. Number eight, expenditure rationalization by restructuring the government. And I thank the Parliament here, as you heard the Speaker was listing those bills which you passed, which enabled this rationalization to take place. Fighting corruption, number 9. Number 10, ensuring that the remaining 33% of the homesteads still practicing subsistence agriculture join the money economy. The general security situation in the country is calm. However, the traditional and non-traditional threats to national security continue to manifest in the form of terrorism, negative political activism, general and cross-border crime, as well as health and environmental risks. The national borders are secure, save for the spillover effects resulting from the conflicts in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Khartoum, and Somalia. These include influx of refugees and asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, and proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The capacity of the national security agencies, i.e. Uganda Police Force, the Internal Security Organization, supported by the Army, the UPDF, has been enhanced in order to combat crimes and guarantee the safety of all Ugandans. You saw how they stopped this young person who blew herself up the other day because she wanted to go into where people are, but it was foiled. It was intercepted before, and she decided to blow herself up because she was discovered. The security situation in Karamoja sub-region has significantly improved, despite pockets of criminality in the form of livestock thefts and some incursions by the Pokot and Turkana from Kenya. Deployments to stop cattle thefts by some of the Karamojong in the neighboring sub-regions of Sebei, Teso, Lango, and Acholi have been maintained. In the eastern DRC, the joint FADC is the Congolese army, UPDF operations against ADF are ongoing with significant achievements. Since November 2024, 223 abductees have been rescued from captivity, and some firearms and bombs have been captured, including IEDs, improvised explosive devices. The government continues to modernize and professionalize Uganda's security forces by improving their welfare and strengthening the cooperation between the civilian population and the security forces. The UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Force Construction Brigade, has rehabilitated schools in rural communities, and together with the National Enterprise Corporation, has been involved in the rehabilitation of major infrastructure such as Entebbe International Airport. It is paramount to jealously regard Uganda's political and economic stability. All attempts to destabilize Uganda by internal and external actors have been thwarted and defeated. We welcome mutual and non-parasitic collaboration with everybody. Uganda's priorities and interests are very clear, and therefore our allies must respect and uphold them in all their dealings with us. The patriotic leadership in charge of the country's affairs cannot deviate from its historical mission to defend and transform Uganda and Africa on account of threats by some of our allies who misunderstand our goals and methods of work. For instance, we are soon finalizing the construction of the 1,443 East African crude oil pipeline from Burisa on Lake Albert to Tanga in Tanzania. This East African crude pipeline will take our crude oil to the international market through the sister country of Tanzania. The construction of the standard gauge railway, which I launched last year, is soon starting, and we have signed a memorandum of understanding with Alpha BMP Investment Group of the United Arab Emirates to start the construction of the oil refinery in Hoima. Many other projects in roads, energy, ICT, schools, hospitals, and agriculture have continued to be implemented despite the World Bank and the USA suspending new financing to Uganda. Our economy remains strong and resilient. It was recently ranked 7th by the International Monetary Fund among the fastest growing economies of the whole world. The size of the economy is projected at Uganda shillings $224.9 trillion, equivalent to $60 billion by the end of June 2025. In 1986, the economy was only Uganda shillings 42 billion, or US dollars 3.9 billion. This means that in dollar terms, the size of the economy has expanded nearly 15 times since the NRM government took power in January 1986. The economy grew by 6.7% in the first quarter of this financial year, compared to 5.6% recorded in the same period last year. This is on top of the growth of 6.1% in the financial year 2023-2024. Economic growth is projected at 6.3% this financial year and further projected to grow to 7% in the financial year 25-26. It is projected to grow faster when commercial production of oil and gas starts next year. In purchasing power parity terms, our economy is projected to be $171.6 billion by the end of this financial year in June 2025. And next financial year, equivalent to about $65.7 billion using the Atlas method. This will be equivalent to $187 billion in purchasing power parity terms. This growth will translate into higher household incomes from $1,259 income per capita by the end of this financial year to $1,330 as income per capita next financial year. In the past 4 years, our growth has been broad-based, inclusive, and pro-poor. The latest National Housing Survey report that was released recently by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics shows that the share of Ugandans living below national poverty line has fallen to 16% from 20% 4 years ago, surpassing the 2025 national target of 18.5%. With the continued implementation of the PDM, we are on track to completely wipe out poverty in the near future. The same UBOS report revealed that income inequality has also declined significantly over the last 4 years. The Gini coefficient, a statistical measure used to determine the extent of income inequality within a population, has reduced 38% from 41% in 2020. In the 12 months to March 2025, export receipts from merchandise trade increased by 26% to $9.3 billion. The Ugandan shilling is the most stable currency in the whole of Africa. During the past 12 months, it has appreciated by 6.1%. Inflation is under control. It is projected at 3.6% in financial year 2024-2025. And Uganda has experienced Africa's second lowest inflation rate in the past decade. Foreign direct investment inflows are projected at $3.8 billion, while tourism and remittance receipts from Ugandans abroad are projected at $1.5 billion and $1.4 billion respectively. During the next 5 years, it is projected that Uganda's GDP is going to more than double to $158 billion in 2030 in exchange rate terms and $296 billion in purchasing power parity terms. These achievements are not by accident. They are on account of deliberate and focused government interventions. Cumulatively, over the last 10 years, government has injected 8 trillion shillings in strategic wealth creation initiatives, which have boosted economic performance. These initiatives include: number one, capitalization of the Uganda Development Bank, 1.45 trillion shillings, to provide affordable capital to manufacturers and small businesses. 2, parish development model, 3.4 trillion by the end of this financial year for the poor rural families. 3, Emyoga, 553 billion shillings. 4, Youth Livelihood Program, 207 billion. 5, Small Business Recovery Fund, 100 billion. 6, Agricultural Credit Facility, 495 billion. Youth Venture Capital Fund, 12.5 billion. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, 168 billion. Invite Project, 800 billion. The Grow Project, 824 billion. And the Uganda Development Corporation, shillings 1.2 trillion, among others. Merchandise goods exports grew by 26% to US $9.3 billion in the year ending March 2025. The top exports include gold, 3.7 billion, coffee, 1.8 billion, cocoa, 410 million, industrial products such as cement, Uganda, US $335 million, metal products such as steel, US $230 million, sugar, US $190 million, fish, 177 million. The export value of milk and milk products increased 10 times from US $28 million in 2015 to US $285 million in 2024. The total export earnings of goods and services reached US $11.81 billion by March 2025. The prices of consumer goods and services have remained low, averaging 3.4% in the past 12 months to April 2025. This is good for savers and investors to be able to plan their investments and plan with certainty. The low inflation was due to a stable exchange rate, good crop harvests, and the decreasing global prices of liquid fuels. The prices of diesel, petrol, and kerosene reduced by 4.2%, 2.5%, and 1.7% respectively on average for the year ending April 2025. The increased domestic capacity in sugar production has led to a reduction in the consumer prices of sugar by 10.8% in April from what it was the same month a year ago. For Abaganda tugamba nti akatari kabbe temanyi Luganda. Akatari kabbe oli amagumba osola mu mulyango. Bano Baganda bakika ki bannange? The prices of beef have increased by 10%, in part due to the increased export of beef to the Middle East, which has increased demand. This is good for the cattle keepers. The problem we still have is the disease outbreaks in some parts of the country, as well as cattle thefts. Government has recently vaccinated livestock in most parts of the country, but in some places, there is laxity in implementation of the quarantines. District leaders should always ensure that quarantines, especially against foot and mouth disease, are strictly adhered to. As a result of the strong foundation that the NRM government has built over the years, foreign direct investment was US $3.5 billion for 12 months up to March 2024. This was mainly in mining, transport, manufacturing, finance, etc. The single largest source of FDI was the Netherlands, 55%, followed by France, 20%, Kenya, 6%, Tanzania, 5%, UK, 4%, and others, 10%. In 1986, the government collected only shillings 5 billion in revenue because private businesses and manufacturing had collapsed. When the NRM took power, we embarked on the rehabilitation of the economy and adopted the policies of liberalization and reformation of the public institutions. As a result, the revenue collection capacity has improved. Revenue collection is projected at Uganda shillings 31.9 trillion. This financial year, ending June 2025, equivalent to 14.3% of total economic output of GDP. This is still less than the desired level to finance our development plans. The government plans to collect shillings 37.2 trillion in domestic revenue next financial year, 2025-2026. In order to boost revenue collection, the government will implement the following steps. Number one, enhancing efforts to fight corruption at the URA through regular audits, whistleblowers, and leveraging digital platforms to minimize human interaction. Two, minimizing tax evasion using the electronic fiscal receipt and invoicing solutions, EFRIS, digital tax system, DTS, and intrusive scanners to improve real-time monitoring of taxable transactions, ensure accurate declaration of revenues, and curb under-invoicing. Three, combating smuggling at border points through extended surveillance using advanced technologies like drones and tracking systems with increased patrols in high-risk areas. Four, adopting specific tax duties to address under-declaration of values, particularly in manufacturing and imports of high-value goods. Five, supporting local governments, including municipalities, to increase revenue collection. Six, recruitment and training of more tax officers at Uganda Revenue Authority and other revenue collection institutions. Our economy is now more diversified and more sophisticated. In 1986, the economy depended only on the 3 C's, which are coffee, cotton, and copper, and the 3 T's, which are tobacco, tea, and tourism. According to a study conducted by the Harvard Economic Lab, in the last 10 years, Uganda added 20 new products to its export basket and has an opportunity of harnessing production of 50 new complex products. Some of these new products include ICT equipment, serums and vaccines, medicines, new pneumatic tires, batteries, gas turbines, electronic integrated circuits, transmission apparatus for radio, telephone, television sets, measuring instruments for physical and chemical analysis, and among others. These new products have contributed to the continued diversification of our exports. Manufacturing is the answer to the challenge of unemployment. Uganda has got raw materials and human resource that can support factories specializing in the manufacture of automobiles, electronics, steel, textiles, furniture, food products, pharmaceuticals, aluminium products, etc. Some of the new products which are manufactured here and contributing to our export earnings include an electronics manufacturing plant in Namamvi Industrial Park, producing 120,000 hair dryers and 60,000 refrigeration parts per year. Number two, pharmaceutical companies producing 4 million single HIV pills and 2 million other medicines per year. Number three, dairy farms, which produce 5.3 billion liters of milk, and processing plants such as Royal Milk Enterprises, Jezad Farm, Brookside Dairy, Amos Dairies, Lakeside Dairies, GBK Dairy, Pearl Dairy, etc., which process about 800 million liters of milk and 365 million tons of cheese per year. Number four, cut flowers worth US dollars 120 million being exported to Europe and other countries per year. Number five, 2,000 tons of avocado and 4,000 tons of bananas being exported to countries like South Sudan, Kuwait, Thailand, and South Korea per year. Electronics, pharmaceuticals, and solar energy products worth US dollars million being exported to the regional international markets per year. Therefore, with the roads and electricity we have now, the emphasis on skills development and the entrepreneurial spirits of Ugandans, the country can increase the share of manufacturing goods in total economic output to the levels of South Korea, Thailand, or Malaysia. In Uganda's case, this is currently valued at US dollars 8 billion. It was only US dollars 237 million in 1986. The return on investment in Uganda is high. It averages 14% per year and can be higher in some sectors compared to an average of only 5.2% in Europe in 2022. This is very important for you to understand that when you invest here, you make profits more easily than when you invest in Europe. In Europe, 5.2%, here more than 14%. If you invest in Uganda, you get back your initial investment capital in about 5 to 7 years, and the rest is profit, which our laws allow you to repatriate without restrictions. Government has put in place a strategy to increase the size of the economy to US dollars 500 billion by 2040 or earlier. My people talk of 2040, but me, I want it earlier. This strategy identifies 4 anchor sectors. These are agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, and science, technology, and innovation, i.e., taking advantage of the knowledge economy by prioritizing investment in research and development. Agriculture production and agro-industrialization. Government has invested in irrigation in order to boost agricultural production. This is because the provision of water for irrigation reduces the likelihood of crop failure on account of on account of water scarcity. Although Uganda's irrigation area has increased from 22,000 hectares to 23,000 hectares, the country, however, has an irrigation potential of 3 million hectares. We have got 3 million hectares which can be irrigated. And here we have only irrigated 23,000 hectares of the 3 million. In order to achieve this goal, government is accelerating the construction of solar-powered irrigation schemes, medium-scale irrigation schemes, earth dams, communal and individual valley tanks, and large-scale irrigation schemes across the country. The construction works for 92 solar-powered irrigation schemes have been completed, adding an irrigation area of 900 acres. These are in the districts of Apache, Buweju, Buyukwe, Bukomansimbi, Bulisa, Bushenyi, Butambara, Buvuma, Gomba, Hoima, Isingiro, Kakumiro, etc. The new solar-powered irrigation schemes have benefited 110,000 farmers, and production yield from 112 schemes has increased to 3,600 tons per season. The major crop enterprises in these irrigation schemes include green pepper, onions, Irish potatoes, watermelons, tomatoes, apples, cabbages, pineapples, coffee, eggplants, vanilla, grapes, mangoes, and pumpkins. Construction works are also ongoing for 22 solar-powered irrigation demonstration sites in the districts of Kabarole, Chenjojo, Kole, Gulu, Napak, Abim, etc. In Nakaseke district, the construction works for Chirema, Phase 1, the medium-scale irrigation scheme, have been completed, thus adding a total of 124 hectares and benefiting 50 farmers engaged in coffee growing, passion fruits, maize, and bananas. Magezi g'Abaganda. The construction works for Wadelai irrigation scheme, 1,000 hectares in Pakwach district, stand at 93.5%. The construction works for Namaitsu medium-scale irrigation scheme in Bududa district are at 70%. Kaumu irrigation scheme, this is in rural district, is at 90%, among others. A mega irrigation scheme, Nyimur, covering 3,300 hectares, has been constructed in Lamo district. You know where Lamo is? You people, you don't know where Lamo is. Lamo is far away, far away, far away on the Sudan border, South Sudan border. Other construction works include Achoma irrigation scheme in the Bukedea district, covering 1,480 hectares and targeting 1,600 households. Atari irrigation scheme in Kwen Buramburi district, covering 680 hectares, targeting 2,667 households. And Namatara irrigation scheme in Budaka, Mbare, Butareja districts, covering 3,450 hectares, targeting 4,923 households. The current production of milk stands at 5.4 billion liters at the end of 2024, compared to 2.5 billion liters in the financial year 2017-2018. We have also identified and secured foreign markets through government-to-government interventions, e.g. Algeria, Nigeria. These countries are now buying our powdered milk. This has resulted in an increase in the value of milk and milk products, as already pointed out, from US $28.7 million in the financial year 2014-2015 to US $285 million in the 2024 year. A new processing factory, Ben Foods, has been commissioned and is currently operational with an installed capacity of 10,000 liters of milk per day. The total value of fish catches from all the water bodies has steadily increased since government deployed armed forces to assist in fisheries enforcement. Currently, we are producing 658,000 metric tons of fish annually. The availability of raw material, fish, sustained operations of 12 fish processing factories. You know that debate. The fisheries unit has been able to stop overfishing or reduce it, although they also accused once in a while of being also sinners. But we can audit their work by looking at the 12 factories which are now processing fish. Many of these had closed. I will meet the fisheries people soon. I will meet the traditional fisheries communities. But this is one of the facts. Are the factories operating or not? And had they closed or not? When we meet, we shall discuss this. Because according to this one here, 12 factories are now operating, processing 658,000 metric tons. The performance has also been a result of the government focus on gazetting of fish breeding grounds. Ebyondo Nebiema, where the fish produces young ones. Some people had invaded those breeding grounds. Enforcement of fisheries laws and regulations, provision of quality fingerlings and fish feed, and providing an enabling environment for private sector to invest in aquaculture. The value of fish and fish products exported increased from US $148 million to US $152 million in the financial year 2023-2024. The volume of coffee produced has increased from 7.8 million 60 kilogram bags in 2022-23 to 8.2 million bags in the financial year 2023-2024. The performance in the coffee subsector is attributed to government strategic interventions, including generation and distribution of improved coffee variety seedlings, supporting increased use of water for irrigation, and promotion of use of fertilizers use among the farmers. The value of coffee exports has steadily increased from $845 million financial year 22-23 to $1.1 billion in the financial year 2023-2024. Government has provided the research institution with funding of $30 billion in the financial year 2025-2026, geared toward the development of improved coffee production, multiplication, and disease, pest, and climate resilient varieties. The volume of maize increased from 3.4 million metric tons in 2018 to 5 million metric tons in 2024. Subsequently, the value of maize exports increased from $63 million financial year 2018 to $195 million in financial year 2023-24. The performance is attributed to the increased adoption of improved maize varieties by farmers, increased value addition by private sector, and increased vigilance by government in control of pests and diseases. Next financial year, the government will prioritize the following support agro-industrialization. Number one, appropriate agro-processing and value addition technologies. Number two, high-quality agricultural inputs. Number three, construction of key water storage and irrigation infrastructure. Number four, enforcement of standards and market access. Number five, establishing appropriate post-harvest handling and storage facilities and infrastructure. Number five, disease, pest, and vector control. Number seven, supporting vertical and horizontal value addition for production of high-value multi-input products, such as nutritional foods, baby foods that use several products like milk, eggs, maize, vegetables, fruits, etc. We must add value to all these products which we are producing now. The eggs, if the eggs are too many, where will you put them? The internal market may not be enough, and the regional market may not be enough. So the answer is to produce baby foods, nutritional foods, so that we can export to the international markets. Number eight, extension services. Number nine, investment in fertilizer production. Number 10, certification and regulation of agricultural inputs and provision of appropriate finance for the various components of the agricultural value chain, among others. Government has introduced the large-scale commercial farmers interest-free credit facility of shillings 175 billion. The money is accessed through government-owned commercial banks. These are Post Bank, Housing Finance Bank, and Pride Bank Limited. This enables large-scale farmers to access mechanization in order to boost agricultural-based exports. The parish development model. The parish development model is now in its third year of implementation. By the end of this financial year, in June 2025, shilling 3.3 trillion will have been provided to the parish development model. the government is currently providing shillings 100 million for each parish per year, per annum. During my up-country trips, I've interacted with some of the beneficiaries of the PDM funds who have used them to start enterprises in food crops, farming, goat keeping, piggery, beekeeping, etc. In Ikisoro, some of the PDM beneficiaries earned between 16 to 20 million shillings from onions over a period of 2 years, using the initial seed capital of just 1 million shillings. Tourism receipts were valued at US dollars 1.4 billion in calendar year 2024. This is a significant recovery from US dollars 562 million in 2020 when we had the corona shutdown. The good performance is attributed to the sustainable peace and security, increased competitiveness of Uganda's tourism industry through marketing and the government investment in strategic tourism infrastructure. To support tourism, the government has provided adequate security to the tourism sites, improved physical infrastructure, and supported the tourist companies with tax relief. Government is strengthening economic and commercial diplomacy through our embassies or missions abroad to promote tourism in addition to mobilizing foreign direct investment and enabling penetration into export markets. Uganda's proactive support for meetings, innovations, conferences and exhibitions, and our participation in global tourism expos resulted in hosting 267,000 tourists in wildlife protected areas. Government has maintained 1,200 kilometers of trail tracks and roads in the national parks. An important aspect in tourism promotion is adherence to the international standards in terms of grading of accommodation facilities, such as hotels and restaurants, hygiene and sanitation facilities, and access to cheap and stable communication facilities and the internet. In this regard, the government is upgrading the internet gateways to reduce the internet costs and increase the speed of internet connections. The priority areas for tourism development next financial year and in the medium term include: number one, branding and marketing of Uganda as a tourism and investment destination. Number two, infrastructure development and construction of sanitation infrastructure in tourism sites. Number three, construction of refreshment centers and highway road signage and sanitary facilities. Number five, improving tourism security. Number five, hospitality standards and training. On the side of minerals, Uganda has got a number of mineral resources in almost all parts of the country. These include oil and gas reserves, beryl, chromite, lead, lithium, silver, zinc, kyanite, feldspar and diatomite, manganese, diamonds, uranium, iron ore, vermiculite, limestone and marble, gold, graphite, aluminium clay rich in rare earth elements, phosphates, and iron ore in Muko, from which we can make high-quality steel and sand. From these resources, Uganda has the opportunity to industrialize quickly with acquisition of technology and specialized skills development, which is tailored to industrialization. Until recently, when we started refining gold, our minerals were being exported in raw form. We were exporting raw materials. Africans who are here, please, from other countries. This is the disease of Africa. Exporting raw materials. Matière première, français. Very bad material première. Eh? This means we are donating all the benefits, such as jobs and money, to other countries. I don't have time to give, like if you take iron ore, at one time, if you would export a ton of iron ore, they would give you $47. At that time, the one who processed the iron ore into a ton of steel would earn $900. You get $47. The clever foreigner, cleverer than you, gets $900. And all the jobs are available for his children when your own children have no jobs. Government has stopped, I have banned completely the export of unprocessed minerals. Some of the people wanted to kill me. I say, you kill me, but I will not. In Tororo, where we have got large deposits of limestone, and Kabare, where we have got iron ore, the government has facilitated the use of these minerals for making cement and steel, respectively. In Kabare, we have put in place the infrastructure for mining the iron ore, from which domestic steel manufacturers have started making high-quality steel. There are now 10 gold refineries in the country, producing gold which is refined to 99.9% purity. There are gold mining activities in Busia by a Chinese company called Wagagai, and the government embarked on the registration of artisanal miners in Buhweju, Busia, Mubende, Kasanda, and Karamoja. Registration will be expanded to cover all artisanal mining areas in the country. In Moyo, there are gold reserves and a huge limestone deposit apparently, which is raw material for cement production. Madi, Manzora, we currently have 3 cement manufacturing plants, namely Tororo, Hima, and Simba Cement, and high-quality tin smelting plant in Barara with an annual capacity of 1,600 tons. A number of cement factories are coming up in Karamoja. Government is also facilitating the establishment of a modern mineral laboratory in Entebbe, which is in the final stages of accreditation to international standards. This financial year, the government started the capitalization of the Uganda National Mining Company. This company will take an equity stake up to 15% in all medium-scale and large-scale strategic mining operations in the country. This is to ensure that as we attract foreign direct investment capital, the country benefits directly in addition to monitoring what is happening in the sector. The company will be capitalized to a tune of Uganda shillings 500 billion over a 5-year period. Oil and gas. With regard to oil and gas production, the government is investing in the requisite infrastructure for commercial production. Kabale International Airport is near completion, and 700 kilometers of tarmac roads have been constructed in the Albertine area. The civil works for EACOP, East African Crude Pipeline, are scheduled for completion next financial year, both in Uganda and Tanzania. The Uganda National Oil Company commenced the petroleum bulk trading business in August 2024. The objective is to ensure security of fuel supply, reduction in the petroleum pump prices, and ensure quality of petroleum products on the market. Hence, the government started implementing this initiative. Since the government started implementing this initiative, Uganda has experienced some reduction in fuel pump prices. We rejected the old mistake of a whole country like Uganda buying petroleum products from middlemen in Kenya. Can you imagine? Your people were buying petroleum for Uganda, Republic of Uganda, member of the United Nations, from middlemen. Can you imagine? You can't believe what happens in Africa. I didn't believe it. And you know, in these ministries, there are people called commissioners. Have you heard of them? Commissioner of ignorance of what? So when I came to know, I said, this will not happen. Why not buy from refiners? Don't you know where the refineries are? Or the bulk suppliers? You can't believe it. Africa is really a continent of wonders. A whole country buying petroleum from middlemen. I didn't know this. And I was sitting there, President. In the minerals sector, government investment next financial year will prioritize the following. Number one, establishing the quantities of the remaining mineral reserves. Number two, strengthening the mineral tracking system to improve transparency and meet the international rules of origin. Number four, adequate capitalization of the Uganda National Mining Company. Number four, the governance framework and the fiscal rule for mining sector. Number five, expediting finalization of the East African Crude Pipeline. Number six, prioritization of construction of the oil refinery and refined products pipeline. And number seven, commencing the construction of the Kabarega Industrial Park to attract petrochemical industries, among others. Science, technology, and innovation. I want to commend Ugandan scientists for nurturing our nascent knowledge economy. Our scientists have been active in developing automobiles, vehicles. You show them the vehicles. You show these honorables and all these powerful people. Imotoka zaffe bannange ziruddawa ziteekeko. Temulina motoka zaffe, mulina abakulu bokka be bali abakulu tebamanyi. Banange, mujaraje Kira. Our visitors, freeze it there. Kakabagira bire dala. La baba no bagiteka ko ne bagijaku. You leave it there. Freeze it there. Now, those buses are electric buses manufactured by your children here. From zero to the whole thing. They are called Kira. Kira is our name for the Nile. The Nile, other people call it Nile, but for us we call it Kira. Even the South Sudanese, they use the same name. That's why His Excellency Salva Kiir. Salva Kiir means Nile. Salva Kiir, the president, means Nile. His name means Nile. So these people are making the buses, the smaller cars, all other vehicles. Thank you. You can now show the big people. Or whatever you. I want to commend Ugandan scientists for nurturing our nascent knowledge economy. Our scientists have been active in developing automobiles, vaccines, electronics, therapeutics, diagnostics, and other healthcare tools. The innovations include, number one, the Kira vehicle plant in Jinja, which has an annual capacity of 2,500 vehicles and employment potential of 12,000 direct and indirect workers. There are 39 buses operating on our roads from Kira, and 30 buses are under production. The plant has secured a market in West Africa to supply about 3,700 electric buses. Number two, Dye Biopharma Manufacturing Facility in Matuga. Can you show it to us, that one there? That one is a clever Ugandan who is heavily supported by the government. But he has also attracted some support from other places. The Biopharma Manufacturing Facility in Matuga has filed more than 100 patents in the United States, including a cancer treatment technology based on the gene therapy, a highly potent gene therapy technology for red blood cells generation by the bone marrow, an mRNA vaccine that treats brain degenerative tissue disease, an anti-malaria vaccine, a vaccine for HIV, a one month insulin shot, a type 1 diabetes vaccine, a universal foot and mouth disease vaccine, and a biological molecule for penicillin. All these patents are there. You can check them by your people. Magora. I don't know whether is Magora here. If he's here, you could stand up and you see him. Number three, developing the vaccines of the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and the Rift Valley virus. Number four, accreditation of the Alphasan vaccine manufacturing facility to produce anti-tick vaccines for the second phase of clinical trials. Number five, Professor Wang's clinical trials of his natural therapeutics. He's also establishing an international certified production facility in Soroti Industrial Park. Number 6, the PCR kit developed by scientists at Makerere University to conduct more than 2 million tests at 50% of the cost of imported alternatives. This has saved the country US$ 37 million in imports per year. Number 7, Guru University developed highly effective rapid test kits to crop diseases for cassava and sweet potatoes. Number 8, the Engineering Development and Innovation Centers in Rebtete, Chilhura District and Namangwe are enhancing capacity for industrial technology, metallurgy, electrical and electronics, civil engineering, automotive technology, agricultural mechanization, and construction machinery. Number 9, the presidential initiative on banana industrial development plant in Bushenyi. Can you show us that one? Bushenyi Banange. Bushenyi Banange. If you want to not to die from heart attacks, you take our bananas. They have got potassium for your heart muscles. The Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development, PBID plant in Bushenyi, has significantly increased commercial production capacity to 140 metric tons of fresh matoke. Matoke is what we call bananas in our language, per day. The plant has sale orders from the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Italy. Over the last 17 years, the NRM government has prioritized infrastructure development, especially the roads, the railways, and electricity. We now have a solid foundation to support industrial development. All parts of the country are interconnected using tarmac roads and wood marathon roads. This means whatever is produced in the country can easily reach the markets. It also means that the cost and the time of moving goods has reduced significantly, facilitating both investments and trade. The stock of tarmac roads is now 6,199 kilometers, compared to only 1,900 kilometers when the NRM took power in 1986. Of these 1,900 kilometers, only 114 kilometers were in fair condition, while the rest, totaling 1,786 kilometers, were in poor condition. The roads to commence construction to tarmac standard next financial year include: number 1, 23.6 kilometers Yumbe Ure Road and Bridge. Are my Yumbes happy? Award 4. 69.3 kilometers Katine Ochero Road. Apoyo. And 2.9 kilometers of town roads in Kaberamaido and Karaki towns. Number 3, 105 kilometers Chenjojo, Chihura, Buizi, Rwamwanja, Kahunge, Mparabwizi. Mwebale muno. 56.3 kilometers Iganga, Bulopa, Kamuri, Jinja. Mwebale ino 127 kilometers Mbulamuti, Kamuli Bukungu. At long last. 10 kilometers, Jinja City roads. 115 kilometers, Kitgum Kidepo, Apoyo. 88 kilometers, Ishashakatunguru Road. Mwewale Mnonga, 65.3 kilometers, Luku, Karangara, Mlabana Road. Do the buses have their own language? Bogera Ruganda. Kare, Bagenderao. 10.67 kilometers in the 7 town roads in Karangara. 72 kilometers Nabumari, Butareja, Namutumba. 73 kilometers Karenga, Kapedo, Kabong. 69.6 kilometers Kotido Kabong Road. Alakara, Noi. 25 kilometers Buburo, Bududa Circular Road, Hakagutako Banange. Amamasava. 21 kilometers Mbale and Kokonjeru Road. Banange. 46.6 kilometers Kawohe, Nyakambu, Buzuwera, Nyakambu, Nsika. Awanyamweru at last. Government is repairing 78.9 kilometers road from Nebi to Arua. 18. I'm also negotiating for more money to tarmac other roads, namely Kabujogera, Kitagwenda, Kamwenje Road. Abatagwenda banje Mutawamatsuko, Muhanga, Rwamchuchu, Kisizi, Rubare Road with a branch to Nyakshenyi and another one to Kelsoni. Abahorra bakiga tinda basa kubebwa. Liantonde, Lumbugu, Rakai. Abakoti bafe eyo munde eyo. Sembabule, Matete, Mbirizi with a branch to Kibinge, Kyabakuza. Myanzi, Kasanda, Kiboga. Abantu bange bekasanda mu akaluru mukatereze utereza akaluru eyo. Kagate, Kitwe, Mirama Hill. Mama was about to kill me on this one here. Katumponye. Kabingo, Rugaga, Magabi, Rakai. Ruwero, Butarangwa, Ngoma, Williamshenyi, Masindi. Kayunga, Bale, Galilaya. I'm going to get additional money for these roads because we have been talking about them for a long time. This will be in addition to completion of the following roads. 92 km Muyembe na Kapiripirit and 25 km of service roads. 21 km Chira, Matuga Road, an improvement of the 5 junctions, 26 kilometers of Tororo Busia Road, and Mayuge and Busia town roads, 6.6 kilometers Kawuku-Bwerenga Road, 100 kilometer Apache Lira Puranga. These are already being worked on. They are going to be finished. And 1.6 kilometer to Namagonde Bugiri Fuel Tank Reservoir. The roads for maintenance or reconstruction include Kampala-Jinja Highway, 72 kilometers, Busunju-Kiboga-Hoima, 145 kilometers, Mubende Road, Mityana-Mbende Road, 86 kilometers, and Mubende-Chenjojo Road, Mbende-Chenjojo Road, 95 kilometers, Mityana Town Road, 14 kilometers, abe Mityana Mtereza Kalulu Bandange. Buno busajja buliyeyo tubona kyebukola butabula. Mugenda muleta obusajja buliyeyo. Arui Nebi Road, 33 kilometers. This is in West Nile. Pakwacha Nebi Town Roads. Oruyo Pakwacha Road, 62 kilometers. Matugasem Toka Peka, 41 kilometers. Iwali akasaji nakasiki manake. Akasaji abantu bage mutereze ebigambo ebyo obusajja bugende bukola ebirala. Matuga Semutoka Peka, Tororo Mbare Soroti. This is a long one. Soroti Dokoro Lira Kamdin Road, 189. These are ongoing already. Karuma Oruyo, 43. Masaka Chotera Mutkula Road, 89. Nyandovira Maria Road, 11 kilometers. Access Road, 7 kilometer rehabilitation of 166 million equivalent of national road that have reached their service life. What they call service life is Zikadiye. The strategic bridges to be prioritized. There's a road in PG Erimonde yetu Kasanje akatawuna akalala bakita batya Kasanje Kisubi waliwo akatawuna ebyo munda akalala nakawuka eyo sikirabye wano tulina okugiteekako nayo. Naye abantu batereeza obululu bannange kubanga the strategic bridges, so I will have to add that road. I thought we had started on it. The strategic bridges to be prioritized in next financial year include Seziwa Bridge along Karagi Kayunga Road, Katonga Bridge, Rueda Swamp, and Kalanda Swamp. Electricity. In 1986, the whole country had only one hydropower plant, Narubari, formerly called Owen Falls Dam, built by the British in 1954 and commissioned by our late auntie, Queen Elizabeth. With the maximum capacity of 150 megawatts of hydroelectricity. There are now 4 large hydropower plants at Narubare, Kira, Isimba, and Karuma, with a combined generation capacity of 1,163 megawatts. Other sources such as Kigwabya, Sabo Konge, solar power in Mbende have added another 888 megawatts. This brings the total installed electricity generation capacity to 2,052 megawatts. However, given the growing electricity demand arising from the new manufacturers, this is very inadequate, and the available capacity will run out in about 5 years from now. So when people talk of surplus, there is no surplus. It will very soon be overtaken. In the past, delayed investment in new electricity generation capacity led to power blackouts, you remember, and affected productivity in the industrial and services sector. To stop this from happening again, the government will commence investment in new hydropower plants at Ayago, in Nwoya District, 840 megawatts, Kiba in Oyam District, 400 megawatts, and Oryang in Nwoya, 382 megawatts. In addition, work is ongoing for the 8,400 megawatts nuclear power plant in Uyende District. All these investments, when completed, will bring Uganda's electricity generation capacity to 12,074 megawatts. But we are aiming at 52,000 megawatts. Human capital. The government continues. Don't mind the long speech. You are the ones who invited me. The government continues to focus on attaining a good standard of health for Ugandans and those living in Uganda. The prevention strategy remains the most powerful tool for fighting diseases. Therefore, I urge all Ugandans to adopt healthy lifestyles by exercising, maintaining personal hygiene, eating nutritious foods, sleeping under a treated mosquito net, refraining from dangerous practices like smoking, sexual promiscuity, etc. While the government is investing in improving the health infrastructure across the country, it is the responsibility of every individual to ensure that they live a clean and safe environment, in a clean and safe environment, and to avoid falling sick. Government has invested in a number of health infrastructure projects. These include infrastructure development for the Uganda Cancer Institute and regional cancer centers, the Uganda Heart Institute, intensive care units, and imaging centers for referral hospitals. Construction of new maternity wards and staff houses in the health center tools that are being upgraded to Center 3 is currently ongoing. This has significantly increased the health facilities in all districts across the country. For example, when I visited Yumbe district recently, I found out that Yumbe alone has 26 health center 3s. This means that our people, especially children and expectant mothers, no longer have to travel long distances when they get sick or when they are going to give birth. This also supports immunization, which helps to raise healthy children and supports the detection of dangerous disease outbreaks before they spread. Government has supported the establishment of a pharmaceutical industrial park at Namanve, which is producing surgical gloves and examination gloves, disposable syringes, human drugs like magnesium sulfate, and the paracetamols. Next financial year, the government will support the construction of specialized centers of excellence for cancer and cardiovascular treatment, among others. Education. The government has introduced reforms in the education sector which are aimed at reorienting the curriculum towards a competency-based approach. This involves equipping learners with practical skills and competencies that are required in the private sector. This will help to reduce unemployment among the school graduates. Government continued to implement the Universal Primary Education Program, reaching 8.8 million learners across 12,433 government-aided primary schools at a sum of Uganda shillings 184 billion. The government, through the school facilitation grant, constructed 413 new classrooms for primary schools and renovated 181 classrooms. Government procured and distributed 334 sets of mean laboratory equipment to 334 primary government schools to enhance practical science learning and foster early scientific curiosity among young learners. A total of 593 teachers were recruited to facilitate operationalization of the new grant-aided secondary schools in sub-counties. The government has successfully completed the construction of an additional 50 seed secondary schools under the Uganda Intergovernmental Physical Transfers Program, bringing the cumulative total to 161 seed schools out of the 259 planned. The majority of the remaining schools are progressing well and are on the schedule for completion by June 2025. The total number of government-aided primary schools in the country is now 12,550. People normally talk of parishes which don't have government primary schools. But how many parishes are there in Uganda? It is because some of the parishes have got more than one primary school. Otherwise, 12,000 would have covered every parish. Because remember, the villages are 72,000. And there are normally about 5 or 10 villages in a parish. So the primary schools supported by the government are now quite many. But some of the parishes may have more than one. The total number of government-aided secondary schools is 1,416. The technical and vocational schools are 189. And the government degree awarding universities are 12. That is the infrastructure of education in the country now. The proper management of our water and environmental resource is a major contributing factor to public health, agricultural productivity, and climate change adaptation. The National Population and Housing Census Report of 2024 showed that at least 8 in 10 households now have access to improved water sources, i.e. piped water, protected springs, etc. In 1986, only 10%, that is 1 out of 10 households, had access to a clean and safe water source. Today, 81.1% of the households in Uganda are in the radius of 1 kilometer from a safe water source. This is on account of the government's prioritization of the construction of piped water systems in both rural and urban areas. Government has constructed a number of solar-powered piped water systems in the districts of Agago, Aleptong, Kayunga, Mityana, Paderi, etc. There are ongoing construction works in other districts like Buweju for Bisia water supply system, Kasese for Nyamugasani gravity flow scheme, Ora water supply system to serve the districts of Terego, Madio Okolo and Nebi, among others. Additionally, through the district water and sanitation conditional grant, the local governments have been able to boost access to improved water sources across the country. The local governments have constructed a total of 2,564 taps, serving 452,000 persons, drilled 709 deep boreholes, serving 212,000 persons, and 128 protected springs, serving 43,000 persons. They have also constructed 109 rainwater harvest tanks, servicing 652 persons, and 79 production wells. A total of 1,333 boreholes and 28 pipe-to-water systems have been rehabilitated across the country, thus restoring service to 417,000 persons. Regional integration. The political balkanization of Africa created small states, many of which have got smaller populations. Uganda, with 46 million people, is one of the bigger states. The solution of this problem is regional integration. The whole of Africa has got a very high population of 1.4 billion people, 1.5 billion. But this population is broken up into small units. Smaller populations mean smaller markets. The problem is compounded by a low purchasing power because of low incomes. So you have got smaller populations with low incomes. How will they support business? There are also problems in the regional market, such as the lack of roads and lack of communication to enable us to fully exploit the regional market. That is why, for instance, Uganda has undertaken the construction of the Mpondwe to Ben Highway to ease connectivity between Congo and Uganda. If we mobilize the whole of Africa to remove all trade barriers, we shall no longer worry about being shut out of markets in Europe or the USA. During the budget, I will speak more about this issue of integration. I think now, let me finish so that people can survive and go home. Mass ID registration. Government through NIRA has started the mass registration exercise of all Ugandans. This important exercise involves replacing the national identity cards that have expired and fresh registration. The IDs will be used to identify voters in the forthcoming elections to prevent fraud. Therefore, I urge all to embrace the registration exercise. Conclusion. As I conclude, so you see patience pays, you have really survived. As I conclude, I wish to reiterate that the NRM is aiming at making Uganda a $500 billion economy in the near future. We have identified 4 key areas to drive this rapid growth. First is agro-industrialization. We must add value to the abundant agricultural raw materials that we, the wealth creators, are producing: coffee, dairy products, beef, fish, fruits and vegetables, cocoa, cereals, poultry, piggery, cotton, tea, etc. These value chains have a combined untapped value potential of US$ 20 billion. Second is tourism and travel. We have a strategy to increase tourism inflows 5-fold by doubling the average spend and average stay time per tourist. Our tourism value chain has a US $50 billion potential. Third is mineral beneficiation and manufacturing, including oil and gas. We are finalizing quantification of our mineral deposits. We must add value to our minerals deposits. We must add value to gold, iron ore, phosphates, limestone, tin, copper and cobalt, lithium, uranium, etc. The confirmed value addition potential for our minerals is US $25 billion. We have also finalized the plans and signed the first contract to build the East Africa's largest petrochemical industry around our oil and gas reserves. The fourth area is science, technology and innovation, including ICT and digital transformation. What I have said in this long speech is that Uganda is now unstoppable in terms of economic growth and socio-economic transformation. Our security apparatus is also robust. All this is in spite of the mistakes of the careerists that infiltrated the civilian echelons of the NRM and even within the UPDF to some extent. These are normally after personal enrichment and power. They hardly bother with salvation policies of Uganda or Africa. During the budget speech, I will talk about two issues: corruption and the East African Federation. In spite of these mistakes and the external meddling, as you have seen, Uganda is unstoppable. Why? It is on account of our correct position on philosophy, ideology and strategy, and the fear of God. Therefore, the malignment notwithstanding, Uganda is moving forward. It is now irreversibly a middle-income country with a GDP per capita of US $1,263, as already pointed out. It is number 7 among the fastest growing countries in the whole world. The source is the IMF. IMF, when you hear a cow talking, then what are you asking? IMF has said Uganda is number 7 in the whole world. IMF, Sim 7 at 10. And this is before oil. With oil, we shall be the first in the whole world. It is growing at 6.3% per annum. It is projected to be 7% next year, 2025, 2026, and will grow in double digits after oil. Akahanjururwasha, tukahungurwa munobi. This is the other language. You know the other language. Akahanjururwasha, tukahungurwa munobi. What God has created cannot be destroyed by haters. In recent times, one of my happiest days was the 6th of May, 2025, when we held the NRM village assemblies over. I started hearing stories that some of our leaders were taking sides in the election of the structures above the village. We are studying this information, and I will give my guidance in the coming weeks. The NRM members should stay calm. Whatever mistakes that happened here in Uganda. They did not happen in Iceland, they did not happen far away, they are here. We shall unearth them. They did not happen in any other country where we have no authority. Get the facts and give them to the NRM administrative secretaries at the district or the NRM Secretariat in Kampala, in writing, with illustrations of the information. The first economic growth I talked about in the economy is on account of 4 factors. These are the correct philosophical, ideological, and strategic position of the NRM as already pointed out. Number one. Number two, the NRA, UPDF, that liberated the country and has ensured peace ever since. Number three, the wealth creators in the four sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, services, and ICT. And number four, the responsible political actors in the NRM and other groups that have contributed to harmony. These are the four that have enabled us to come up. Number one, our correct stand on philosophy, ideology, strategy. I don't have time to elaborate that, but we have talked about it before. Number two, the armed forces, UPDF, the NRA, for liberating the country and maintaining peace. Number three, the wealth creators, the farmers, the manufacturers, the owners of the services, the ICT. This is why we are strong. We are strong because of the wealth they create. And number five, the political actors who are positive and support this. Therefore, the careerists who only think of themselves should check themselves. They should not spoil the efforts of the patriots. Here I do not have to talk about the negative opposition elements that work for foreign interests and for the parasitic local interests. Those have failed to block our progress. It is the internal mistakes that must be corrected. Finally, I want to reaffirm the commitment of the NRM government to ensuring that Uganda remains stable and transforms into a modern, prosperous country. I wish all Ugandans a peaceful election season. In the coming session of Parliament, the government will present to you for consideration the following bills. They are here. Let me see. Piriwano. Kambisome. Kagutas paid my school fees. The bills. Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, the Building Substances Bill, 2022. Information and Communications Bill, 2023. The Magistrates Court Bill, 2025. The Workers' Compensation Bill, 2024. Amendment Bill for the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions, 201. Amendment of the Education Act, 208. The Curriculum Assessment and Admissions Bill, 226. Uganda Intelligence Services Policy Framework, 2024. Principles for Drafting the Unclaimed Financial Assets Bill, 2025. Annual Macroeconomic and Fiscal Performance Report, 2024-25. Annual Budget Performance Report, 2024-2025. The National Budget Framework Paper of 2026-2027 to 2030-31. Public Procurement and Disposal Bill, 2025. Principles for the amendment of the Motor Vehicle Insurance, Third-Party Risks Act, 1989. Development of the National Agricultural Financing Policy. Same annual budget performance report. Half-year macroeconomic and fiscal performance report. Ministerial policy statements for financial year 2026-2027, Vote 008, Vote 130, and other statutory votes under Minister of Economy. Development of the National Insurance Policy, 2025. Budget Speech, 2026-2027. Principles for the amendment of the Tier 4 microfinance institutions and money. Principles for the amendment of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Now, I want to congratulate Parliament and the Speaker for the bills which you passed, which you handled. As I said in my speech in Ruero, some of these bills helped the stability of the country, like the UPDF bill. That one was really one of the speakers. I was watching, sometimes I watch a wonderful UBC. When they are not playing football, they also give some news. Because when they have football, they forget about us. Now, I saw one of the young people, the young man is a legislator, was saying that in a company, you have got internal procedures where you can exercise administrative discipline. But if it is a crime, it must go to court. Of course, it is correct. But if UPDF is not a business company, to find a member of parliament thinking that UPDF is a business company is really a disaster. So I want to congratulate Parliament, I want to congratulate the Speaker for saving us that big problem. Because there's no way UPDF soldiers can go to the magistrate courts once they have made mistakes in the barracks initially. It's not possible. I don't think it happens in other armies. So we need some capacity building for members of parliament. To know what happens in the world. You cannot say UPDF is like a company. It's not a company. It is a very powerful pillar of the state. And it must be handled in a special way. So I congratulate the Speaker and the front bench, the ministers, and the NRM caucus, Banang NRM caucus, and other allied friends who are friendly. I want to thank all of them. May the Almighty God, I therefore have the pleasure to declare the 5th session of the 11th Parliament open. I salute all of you. May God bless you. Signed, Yoweri Museveni, President of Uganda. Katonda wabere.
The government policy in your address to the nation and for fulfilling your constitutional obligation under Article 101(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency and honorable members, kindly allow me to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the former speakers and presiding officers of the Parliament of Uganda. We have the Right Honorable Francis Butagira, 1980 to 1985. We have His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, the Chairman of the National Resistance Council, 1989 and 1996. Right Honorable Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi, 2001 to 2011. We have the Right Honorable Alhaji Moses Chigongo, the Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Council, 1986 to 1996. We appreciate them for the contribution to strengthening the foundation on which legislature stands today. May the good Lord bless all of you, because we are where we are because of you. And we'll also leave it for the next people who will come in. We take cognizance of the government's legislative agenda for the 5th session, and we pledge our utmost commitment to the 11th Parliament to prioritize the government business and expeditiously and exhaustively consider all the government business before any other business. Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure, we will allot time at a later date for an exhaustive debate on the President's address on the state of nation. Honorable members, His Excellency the President will be back on Thursday, 12th June 2025 to deliver the budget speech. I want to invite all of you kindly to be here to receive the budget, and want to thank all the ambassadors who are here. We are very grateful that you're here and that you honored our invitation. I therefore want to ask members, please be here to receive the budget. Remember, one of your roles is appropriation. You did appropriate, and now you're here to receive, you'll be here to receive the budget. I want once again thank Your Excellency the President and all the dignitaries who have made it here. And thank you in a special way. Go to Mama Janet Kataha Museveni for accompanying President for this State of Nation address. May the good Lord bless all of you. And as we wish you success in your election during this elective season.
Adjournment.
The House is adjourned to Thursday, 12th, 2025 at 2 p.m.
The anthems.
the State of the Nation's address, the President has completed his speech as given in Article 101 of the Constitution, and he has spoken and given us details of what his prospects are.
State of Nation address. Yes, President Museveni yana communicating jira ihanga ari kubagambira bintu bitarumwe na of course kubikuje kwa bitambura no kubitambwire na bucimo cyone. I think conversation yatambura kurungi byona of course ntibabe live ha GNTV. Yes, omudakika ni kurse by the way ni kurse yo. I think bucimo cyone kijonjendo misho so far omihanga ritu ya Uganda kijonchi plan njibokora ne cyakozwe na bucimo cyona. I think watchfuna speech ya President Museveni. Okay, right now and switching us straight to another program that's Gospel Vimba ikumene mpaka shaitu yemwe echo inekora. Just keep it GNTV. My name is MC ADB, the entertainer. Let's go.
Up next on GNTV. Up next on GNTV. This is GNTV, releasing life